Bonjour, y'all. Happy fall. Today I'm going to attempt to make an apple and fig tart. A tart. I thought about doing a cake. The figs look so awesome right now. I know they're kind of expensive, but I thought maybe with the tart I would taste them better than in a cake, so I thought I would try it. Let's go to the kitchen. On va la cuisine. Got some figs. Normally I think you're supposed to use the little ones, but I ate them all, so we're going to use the big ones too. We're going to start with making the crust. So I need 220 grams of flour. This is a French recipe, so it is in grams. I will put the cups for you on the screen. Today's recipe comes from a flour brand, La Francine. No, this is not sponsored. I just got it off their website, and I'll link it below if you guys want to see the original. To this flour, we're going to add a healthy pinch of salt. That's a lot of salt. That was a spoon, not a pinch, but yeah, pinch of salt. We need a tablespoon of oil. They call for sunflower oil. I'll just be using canola oil. 100 grams of sugar, I know that. That's about half a cup. And then we're going to cut in 150 grams of butter. Okay, so like a stick, a little more than 2 tablespoons. Going to chop it up small. And then we're going to work it into our flour sugar mixture. So you want to start with little pieces. But first, we're going to stir this stuff together. I should have stirred the dry together before I put the oil, but I didn't. So, you know, guess what? It's fine. This is the first time I've seen a tart dough ask for oil. I mean, I guess. So I'm looking at it, and it says to incorporate the butter, but never says what to do with the oil. But it's in the list of ingredients for the dough. So we're going to go with that. Okay, you can mix this in with your hands, or if you have a pastry blender, you can use that. But the heat from your hands will kind of melt the butter down and incorporate it into the flour. It's going to be nice and buttery. So tell me in the comments, what do you like to do with figs? I love figs. I could just eat them the way they are. But I do enjoy fig recipes as well. Who knows when y'all will see this? How long will it be before I get it edited? We shall see. So I've got all my butter in here. So you're going to like pinch it to work it in until you have like a sandy texture. So just kind of grab your butter and pinch it like this with the flour. That's all I'm doing in there. Pinch and rub. This is a pâte sablé. Okay, you definitely want to cut your butter up into cubes because otherwise this will take you forever. And the warmer your hands are, the faster it'll go. Like this, I was lazy. I should have cut it. Make my life easier here. On pie dough, we don't want to melt the butter with our hands because you want a flaky texture. But a sablé is more of like maybe shortbread. It's very crumbly. It's not flaky. And you're going to be doing this and think it'll never come together. Sure, you could use a machine, but honestly, the heat from your hand helps this. It's starting to really get sandy there. Good. It's sneaky. Break him down too. No sneaky pats of butter. Poor Remy. He's stressed out. He's not getting any apple right now. When Remy was a baby, we took him to a baby. He was a puppy. We took him apple picking when we first brought him home, and he was eating the apples on the ground. And he's loved apples ever since. I don't have any more big lumps of butter. We're just going to add enough water here, 2 tablespoons, so that this will come together into our tart dough. If you hate the feel of dough, use gloves. That's fine. It's your kitchen. You do what you want. I find this therapeutic. Like, you get in there And you just think about what you're doing here, and you can just let your mind go. This is cold water. And then you're going to quickly just bring it together. See, it's coming together. So we got a little bit of dry on the bottom. Ta-da! And then we're going to press this into a 10-inch tart pan. If you don't have a tart pan, you could use a cake pan. You could use a pie pan, but remember, this is a tart. It's not going to be as thick as our traditional American pie. This is a French tart, so a tart pan is relatively thinner. Oh, okay. I'll show you. So this is the tart pan. This one has a removable bottom. If you're going to serve it in the pan, you don't have to have a removable bottom. I have a ceramic one as well, but I really like using this one. I'm going to roll out the dough for this. You can just press it in. It'll be just fine. But I like the cleaner look of rolling it out. Oh, I can use my new toy. I got something ridiculous. It's a Play-Doh bag. Wow. That has the circles on it. So you can roll your dough out to the size you need it. I have a 10-incher, so I'm going to want it to be bigger. So I'm probably thinking the 12-inch. Alright, so in here, I'll just plop down our dough. And if your dough won't roll out, just let it sit for 5 minutes. Let the gluten relax. And then it'll work. If you have trouble rolling it out, okay, use tools. Okay, I know I'm using the bag, but if you want to keep it round, you turn it, flip it, and give it a quarter turn. Roll it, flip it, quarter turn. In general, pie dough of any sort turns out better if it gets chilled. You can chill this dough before rolling it out, but I'm going to roll it out and then chill it in the pan. When you are rolling dough, don't go over the edge of it. And by that I mean, like here, you don't want to keep going until you knock off the edge of this, because you're going to pinch that end. You want even pressure across the whole thing. That looks pretty nice. You can see it's not perfect, but it's pretty large, and I know it's going to fit in my pan. And the other cool thing about this, me and my laziness, I didn't add any extra flour, and then I can flip this over onto my pan, I think. In theory. But yes, now I have a new thing to clean, so that depends on what you want. And you can add flour to this bag. I just didn't. I wanted to see what it would do. This is quite a sticky dough. If I did it again, I'd probably do it. All right, to get it into the corners, you're going to lift up the edge, go down to the bottom, go all the way around. And this is quite soft. This definitely needs to visit the refrigerator or the freezer before we proceed. You can flute the edges if you want. You can roll across the top if you want it flush like that. I kind of don't love that look, but it's quick. And you know, with this dough, patch up any holes you have, and you're ready to go. You can save this and make a mini tart. Or if you have spots that look like they're kind of naked, like right there, you can just push it in. This is going to go in the refrigerator or the freezer while we prepare the rest of it. Like that. Next, we're going to caramelize the figs in some butter and cassonade. Now, cassonade, if you look it up, it says brown sugar, but it's not like our brown sugar in America that clumps together. I think the closest thing that we have is probably raw sugar. And the original recipe does call for 145 grams. I find that to be a lot. So I've backed it down to 90 grams. So I have half. So, I mean, we've already put a cup of sugar into the dough. And you're going to see specks in mine because I did put like some brown sugar in here. I just like the way it tastes. But you can use brown sugar, you can use raw sugar, and if you don't have it, you can use white sugar. And, you know, the figs are pretty sweet this season. And you're only putting 6 figs. That's a lot of freaking sugar. You decide what you want to do. We're also going to need, surprise, more butter. 40 grams of butter. And then we're going to put our brown sugar or cassonade on here. Then we're just going to put enough water to wet that. Okay, if you don't have vanilla sugar, you can just put some vanilla in here when you're done at the end. Don't put, see, that's kind of what cassonade looks like that vanilla sugar. Don't put vanilla extract in here and then heat it because you'll cook away the flavor. Guys, we're making a caramel. Let's go to the stove. So we just want to melt the sugar. We'll melt the butter and the sugar. So I'm caramelizing the figs in this, but it doesn't tell me to cut them. It doesn't tell me anything to do with it other than to caramelize it in butter and sugars. So I'm just cutting them in half and putting them face down into the mélange. I don't know if that's what we're supposed to do or not. Cut off any icky bits you have. Obviously, I mean, it's fruit, it's natural. Some things we're not going to want. I'm just cutting off the stem and then cutting them in half. And then inspect, and if there's anything I don't like, I cut it off. Okay. At this point, before I put these in here, I made sure the sugar was dissolved. Because, you know, I don't know how much you've worked with sugar. But once it starts boiling, it likes to caramelize. And we don't want that. Yikes. Okay, the recipe calls for 6 figs. It doesn't tell me what type of figs. These are brown turkey figs. Beautiful. And then I have a couple of the little figs left too. I forgot what they're called. Mission? Maybe? Mission figs? I'm not sure. Alright. Cook this down until you have a caramel. I think our caramel looks done here. Alright, now we just have to prepare our apples and then the surprise ingredient, almond flour. We need 80 grams of almond flour. Our last 2 ingredients, like I said, almond flour and apples. Recipe calls for 6 golden delicious apples, but we're using Honeycrisp. The apples in France are not as big as they are here, so I think 3. I mean, you can find big apples, but generally people have smaller ones. So I'm going to start with 3, and if that's not enough, I'll cut some more apples. Yikes. Too bad I can't move this fast in real life. I like to mix apple varieties usually, like Honeycrisp, Fuji, Pink Lady, Golden. It makes it more interesting. Alright, so I got a big bowl of apples. That's 3 or 4 apples. It's plenty. Now this is where it gets dicey. It tells me to put this in the tart dough, then put the fig stuff, then mix the apples with the fig stuff, See what I'm saying? It's kind of dicey here. So we're going to make it up as we go here. But first, let's preheat the oven before we get that pie dough out. 180C, so 350. And then we're going to cook it for 30 minutes. So in the same pan, we are going to caramelize the apples a bit. Strange step for a French apple tart recipe. Follow the directions. Green. I'm just trying to loosen the edges so that I can take it out of the pan. Be very careful and don't scratch your nonstick surface. Just have patience. We don't want our hard work to go to waste. After you're sure the edges are free, just lift up the pan and start to apply pressure to the bottom. You want to turn it as you do it and it will come up. Now handle it gently, but tart dough is generally more robust than pie crust, so you should be able to lift this out without it cracking, but do be careful. Now whether or not you'll be able to get the bottom of the tart pan off, that's a different gamble, and you can decide from tart to tart. Sometimes I take it off, sometimes I leave it. Now we need to do the taste test, so let's cut a slice and have a taste. I use a sharp knife to make sure I can cut through the tart dough on the bottom. Ta-da! Looks pretty good, but I'm still suspicious about that almond flour layer on the bottom. We'll see. Okay, enough eating and smacking sounds. This overall has a pretty good flavor. As I suspected, that almond flour layer has a weird texture. If I were to make this again, because overall it has a good flavor, so I think I might, I would either leave that almond flour out altogether, or I would stir it in with the apples. I'm not sure, but by itself, it really left a weird texture that I just didn't care for. The tart crust itself turned out pretty good. Maybe I'll start making my tart crust with a little bit of oil. I'm not sure what that did for it, but overall, this is a solid tart. I would give it maybe a 7 out of 10, but there's some tweaks we can make. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed making this with me. If you do make this, let me know what you think about it. If there's a recipe you would like to see me make in the future, drop a comment below. And I hope you guys have a happy fall. Au revoir. Bon appetit!